Libyans are voting today in a poll to elect a new General National Congress, Libya's first nationwide election since Colonel Gaddafi was toppled last year. The elections should have been held in June, but were delayed because of unrest inside the country. Let's talk to Nabila Ramdani, journalist and commentator who specialises in the Middle East. Nabila, how significant is this today?
Well, clearly this is a hugely significant and indeed symbolic day for Libyans. It is, of course, the first time an election is taking place in 60 years, since 1952, and it's taking place less than a year after Gaddafi was killed during a very bloody conflict, it has to be said. And it is significant also because this is a country where there's no culture of politics at all. The political meetings were banned altogether under Gaddafi. There were never any talks about politics, let alone expression of dissent. So clearly this is a milestone election for this country, but it's not going to go very smoothly given the context in which it's taking place.
Yeah, no, tell me about that. I mean, how much dissent, how much division is there inside Libya?
Well, generally speaking, people are very keen to take part in these elections, and there's a sense of euphoria indeed. But the eastern part of the country, which is Libya's oil-rich part of the country, is clearly is calling for boycott and indeed calling to sabotage these elections because they're unhappy with the National Transitional Council issuing election laws purportedly based on population that allocate their region less than a third of the seats in parliament. And they've yesterday only, for example, in an act of dissent, they brought down a helicopter carrying voting material with anti-aircraft fire.
How much of a problem is there going to be with the new assembly actually having power? We saw what happened in Egypt, where in similarly historic elections, the guy who won is going to have to contend with the fact that the army has reserved a lot of the power for itself. What's happened in Libya?
Well, Libya is currently a lawless country. There's a very weak government, if any at all. The country is awash with weapons, and security is the biggest issue here. We have an awful lot of armed militias in Libya, which are reluctant to hand their guns to the central government, and that's clearly the major issue facing the country.
And as far as likely winners are concerned, is it possible to even suggest what might happen?
Well, the race is highly unpredictable, but there are four parties which are seen as front runners, and it's mainly Islamic parties. The Justice and Construction Party, which was co-founded by the Muslim Brotherhood. There's also a new party recently founded, Al-Watan Party, founded by the former rebel commander and former jihadist Abdel Hakim Belhaj. There's a National Front Party, which descends from a Gaddafi-era opposition, and a more secularist party, the Alliance of National Forces, which is led by the former Premier Mahmoud Jibril. So no clear winner because there are more than 100 parties involved in the race, and it is more likely that the shape of the final government will depend on post-election alliances between a secular party and Islamic parties, or the formation of an Islamic bloc in parliament altogether.
Thank you very much, Nabila Ramdani, on today's historic elections in Libya.